Ask the Messengers, the program that deals with substance abuse, real people telling real stories. Hosted by Pastor Lester Lewis, co-host Charlize Wilkerson and Leroy Carey. Where there is addiction, there is a chance for recovery. We're trying to help save lives on Ask the Messengers.
Today on Ask the Messengers, we are excited about the panel discussion that we will present to you today. We are going to talk about addiction and recovery within the LGBTQ community, the COVID-19 precautions that have had to go forth over the last 3 months of shutdown. And we also, most importantly, want to dispel some myths and stereotypes as it relates to the LGBTQ community as a whole. Our panelists are Mr. Curtis Lipscomb, who is the Executive Director of LGBT Detroit, Cornelius Wilson, a community activist and housing specialist. He's also been on the show before. Philip Simmons, back again. He is the Executive Director for Pure Recovery. He is also an ally and advocate for the LGBT community, and he's a substance abuse and mental health therapist. Also, we have Keith Bradford, who is an ordained minister and associate pastor for Calvary Baptist Church, and he is also in recovery 32 years clean. Woo! And he is a national member of ADOD. And Rondo, who is a community activist and also a person in recovery, a social worker, and a patient advocate. So let's get started with this discussion. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about LGBT Detroit. What role does it play within the community as a whole, and what do you do?
So thank you for this opportunity to be on your show. LGBT Detroit is a Black-led and Black-founded LGBT organization right here in Detroit, Michigan. Because of the commitment to the people who invest in this mission, we're the largest Black-led LGBT organization in North America. And so I'm very proud to say that we have a campus located in Northwest Detroit. As an education and advocacy organization, physical and emotional well-being is one of the 3 cornerstones of the work that we do. And so for those persons who are impacted and who struggles with identity, we offer direct and indirect services for that population. What's interesting about the recovery community is that recovery is an LGBT issue. Many of the people that we know that struggle with identity self-medicate, and they find substances that are readily handy in communities that I live in. So it is nothing for someone to go and buy cigarettes if they're struggling with identity. It also isn't unusual for somebody to have excessive drinking when wanting to deny their true selves, to suppress any kind of expression of who they are. And so what could become a method to control whatever mental health or emotional well-being that they are struggling with, they could fall quickly in addiction. LGBT people struggle with addiction, and these items are not necessarily hardcore street substances. The people who we provide services to suffer from alcoholism, excessive smoking, and for some, overeating. And so we recognize that our program called Breaking the Cycle supports those people who struggle and use substances as they struggle with identity.
Okay, Keith, do you want to come in on that a little bit and kind of, you are an ordained minister at Calvary Baptist Church, and you are a person in long-term recovery.
Yes.
Share a little bit about your recovery story and how you are living your life today as
Sure.
opposed to how you used to.
Sure. Just like Curtis said, I started drinking at a very early age. I started using marijuana at a very early age. And a lot of that was the denial of my sexuality and also trying to fit in, because growing up as a kid, I always knew, and this is a common story with us, I always knew that I was different, but I didn't know how to identify that. And then growing up and hearing terms like fag and sissy and like that. Those things, those terms made me realize that, I can't be a part of the larger society. And so I have to do something to fit in. It started for me smoking weed. And then when I started going to the bars early as a result of that. I was in the bars at 16 years old. And then that's when my drinking progressed and my drug use progressed. And finding a place to fit in, even within my own community, within the LGBT community, it was difficult trying to find a place to fit in because of the cliques and the low self-esteem and the low self-worth. It was just very, very difficult. I did a lot of things that I'm not too proud about as a result of my drug use to get drugs and under the influence of drugs. But I finally got to a point where I realized that I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't want to live like that anymore. I didn't want to associate with the people that I had associated with anymore. And that's when I began to seek recovery.
Ron,
Yes.
you yourself are a person in recovery as well, and now a social worker. So tell me a little bit about you.
I recovered from crack cocaine. And that was a big, big part of my history well before I became HIV positive. My addiction was different because through my drug use, I didn't do bad things to people to get drugs. I've always worked. I've always had a roof over my head. I always had food. But at the same time, I was asking God to release me from this because it's a 20-year addiction. And I actually thought in my head that I would do crack for the rest of my life.
When we come back, our conversation continues with COVID-19 and some of the precautions within the LGBT community.
I am Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer, informing you that the Wayne County Treasurer's Office is now again open to the public. To adhere to social distancing guidelines, visits to the office must be by appointment only. To make an appointment, visit the Treasurer's Office website at treasurer.waynecounty.com. And for the safety of everyone, a face covering is required. Even though we are not foreclosing on any properties in 2020, I encourage taxpayers to continue making payments to avoid foreclosure in the future. This can be done online at treasurer.waynecounty.com, by visiting a DivDat kiosk located near you, by using the Wayne County mobile app, by phone, or by mailing payments to the office. If you need to visit our office, you can set up an appointment on our website where you can also obtain kiosk locations and other valuable information. You can email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com or call us at 313-224-5990 to set up an appointment or for further assistance. We look forward to helping you.
If you or someone you know is battling with any type of cancer, you need to read the book by Laverne Moore Slaughter, God Encounters Are Real. In her book, she tells how through prayer and faith, God healed her and set her free from stomach cancer. For more information and to get your copy, visit www.encountersarereal.net.
I'm Artesia Washington, and I'd like to welcome you to Irvine Head Injury, where restoring you to your previous level of functioning is our goal. We offer services such as physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech and language pathology, aquatic therapy, massage therapy, and counseling. An automobile accident is an unfortunate event. If you feel that you or a loved one can benefit from our services, you can be reached at 248-415-2500. We look forward to hearing from you.
Are you struggling with an addiction to drugs and alcohol? Are you torn with which way to go to get better? Look no further. Pure Recovery Substance Treatment Centers are here to help. Pure Recovery offers non-judgmental support for men who are finding their way to recovery. With several locations within Wayne County, one of them could be just right for you. Contact Pure Recovery today through the Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network's 24-hour helpline, 800-241-4949. We are discussing addiction and recovery within the LGBTQ community. We are now moving into the COVID-19 precautions, circumstances, and situations.
I'd just like to share briefly that COVID-19 has impacted us globally. This new viral attack has been a surprise to residents of the United States, beginning in February when we heard about the first 11 people dying in Washington state. Since then, that number has increased to currently 120,000 plus people in the United States with those deaths, and almost 500,000 people who are or have been infected with the coronavirus. And so for people in Michigan, it's been a devastation. And particularly where I live in Detroit, it's been tragically alarming at some point. I'm very happy that we have great statewide leadership in my governor, Governor Gretchen Whitmer. She convened a task force, and I am proud to be appointed on that task force as a voice for a solution to this devastation. And so the Michigan Coronavirus Task Force on Racial Disparities is convened by our Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist to organize solutions and to address the racial disparities, particularly around health. And so LGBT Detroit sits on that task force as the only LGBT-driven voice. And so I feel I definitely sense a responsibility, not only in this intersection of what it is to be LGBT, but what it is to be Black. And so I'm very proud that she led in the nation. She's the only one that has this kind of task force across the nation. Proud to be a part of it. And I'm proud to bring the voices of people that I know, my family, my friends, my neighbors, who are impacted by this disease.
Janika, you assist Mr. Lipscomb in his office. So what are some of the things that you have seen as it relates to COVID-19, and how has it adjusted your role and things that you have to do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, in the particular role that I am with the Healing and Support Services Program, the challenge that we have been seeing is protecting those who are suffering from domestic violence and intimate partner violence. It's been an uptick on that between adults and children. So finding a proper place to get the help that they need, that's what we've been seeing, that challenge of trying to keep those adults and children safe.
Wow. So Cornelius, you work in, you are the house manager over at Happy House through Pure Recovery, who is a proud supporter of the Ask the Messengers TV show. Thank you very much for your continued support, Mr. Phillip. So what are some of the things that's going on? Because you were on about a month ago, like when we first went into this COVID-19. So how has the climate been for you guys over there at the house?
It's shaking folks to the core. When you're dealing with folks in recovery, and then you're talking about shutdown, you're talking about dealing with the mindset of folks of, what do I do? How do I do it? For a number of us in the LGBT community, this harkens back to the days of HIV and AIDS when it first came on the scene. It really took a lot of folks by surprise, and it was sort of like a trigger for a lot of folks, because folks, as they begin to hear the statistics and listen to the news and start learning that in the very beginning, they weren't seeing or hearing that there were a lot of folks that looked like us that were being impacted. But as the statistics became more clear and the information got out, we found that we are once again at the top of the list being most impacted. And I think it scared a lot of folks.
There are a lot of people who will relapse during this issue because of the fact that they can't get out. You know, we need hugs.
Yeah, right.
We need hugs. You know, there are a lot of meetings that go on different channels. There's Zoom meetings all day long. I have actually attended more Zoom meetings in the last 3 months than I've probably attended meetings in the last year, right? And I'm making meetings in Johannesburg, South Africa, and in Hawaii, and all over the world, right? Meeting new people. So it's really had a serious impact on the recovery community as far as people going back out. You know, the liquor stores are still open.
Yeah.
The doctors are still prescribing narcotics, you know, and so not being able to be out and not being able to get that physical connect. If a person doesn't have the right support group, they're definitely going to fall.
We'll be right back with more of Ask the Messengers.
Welcome, Judge Mathis. Thanks for coming to share an important message with the Wayne County taxpayers.
Well, thank you for allowing me to help. You know, most of my life I was a resident of Wayne County, and so I'm here to help because Treasurer Shabri wants to work with Wayne County homeowners to keep families in their homes and prevent foreclosure.
If you're having trouble making your property tax payments, let us know. We have many resources to help.
Take the first step towards staying in your home by going down to the Wayne County Treasurer's office on the 5th floor of the International Building in Greektown.
Stop by today to learn more about our payment plans and especially the newly extended interest rate reduction program.
Already in the payment plan? It's important you stay in good standing.
Making property tax payments is now easier than ever. We have placed payment kiosks in Rite Aid stores and community centers across the county. We've also added kiosks in our offices. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com.
Are you struggling with an addiction to drugs and alcohol? Are you torn with which way to go to get better? Look no further. Pure Recovery Substance Treatment Centers are here to help. Pure Recovery offers non-judgmental support for men who are finding their way to recovery. With several locations within Wayne County, one of them could be just right for you. Contact Pure Recovery today through the Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network's 24-hour helpline, 800-241-4949.
We are back. I am Tina Nelson, the producer for Ask the Messengers TV show, sitting in for our host, Lester Lewis, who is off on assignment. Our panelists has been Curtis Wilson, Curtis Lipscomb, Ron Doe, Philip Simmons, Keith Bradford, and Chanika Hodges, who all represent the LGBT community in their own aspects. But let's discuss the dispelling the myths and stereotypes. What would you like for our viewing audiences, and this is for everybody, what would you like our viewing audience to know and understand that are myths and these stereotypes that are always out there?
One of the big things with me for Pure Recovery was that working with the LGBT population was the fact that they didn't necessarily have a program that really was welcoming, to be honest with you, going to recovery. A lot of times they're going to recovery, into the recovery community, and those stereotypes and those stigmas were prevalent. And I found that to be a problem. I felt that as far as being a therapist and being open and welcoming to everyone in the community, to be honest with you, I don't think that we were actually doing that. Let's all be understanding. Let's be honest about what's really going on in the community. And if we're going to be here to help, then let's fully just help everything that we need to do in the recovery community. So recovery is all encompassing. So let's definitely do that. And again, I thought, let me just say this, on this panel that you have, you put together an amazing panel. I mean, these were all men that I've worked with closely throughout my time, as far as, and they welcome me into the community as well, to understand as an ally what my role was and what I could do. And I had to learn a lot as well too. So thank you for that, for everyone, particularly for Cornelius and Curtis, for their knowledge and their mentorship with me for that point. So and I just want to give a quiet, shameful plug in regards to LGBT Detroit. I was really proud to see when the governor had the racial disparity panel come together, and Curtis Lipscomb and the LGBT Detroit was on that, because for me, I felt like it was finally a time that they had the right people at the table.
I think one of the things that I want to kind of, from Philip, feed off of what Philip just said with regards to stereotypes or myths. And I think it's very important, something Philip said, for folks that say they're allies. There are a lot of folks that say they're allies in our company when they come to our functions. But I think it's more important that allies speak to other allies, and that allies come out as allies. Because what our community needs more, we don't need folks coming into our spaces just to be our allies in our spaces. We need our allies to be speaking on our behalf in the community. One of the things we've been doing over the years is fighting the fight within our community as an African-American community and as LGBT people. And then we know that we have a lot of allies that are supportive of who we are, what we do, no matter what that is. But a lot of times we don't see those when we move out into the broader community. Those allies are in their own little silos, you know, and that's fine. But then we have folks like Philip, and we have others, and like yourself, Tina, that are very vocal, very open, and very honest about the fact that you're supportive of our community and are willing to help. And it's not like we need anything in particular. The support, knowing that just like with what's going on now with the racial disparities, whereas in my opinion, white folks need to sit down and talk to white folks, because all this protesting and everything we're doing, I think it's all great and what have you. But I think right now that as more folks that are not persons of color recognize what racial disparities have been doing to those of us that are Black and brown folks and those of us that are LGBTQ, it's just important that folks just sit down with their own kind and get an understanding of what anti-racism mean. What does being anti-gay mean? What does all that mean to you all? And for those that are allies, if you're an ally and you hear something going on within the family or the community that is not very positive with regards to LGBTQ, you have to speak up on it in that form. And I think that's what will help bring us all more closer together, move us forward.
We have for generations been a quiet community for a number of reasons. Discrimination is real. Though we've had a big national win, we've not won everything. Right. And so again, when I think about recovery, substance abuse is an LGBT issue. It isn't separate. Recovery is an LGBT issue. And so I ask in this incredible community of people who are struggling to open and embrace arms. Keith was very fortunate, as he said on this panel, that he found a group of LGBT persons that he can sit and discuss his recovery journey with people who share the same affection. But we have to think about those in Little Rock, Arkansas. We got to think about those people in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We got to think about those in rural Virginia who may not have the fortune that Keith did. To think about where can I go if there's maybe one or two people in my community that may have the same identity as mine. And so I salute all who can create space for people like me, though I may not be personally impacted by recovery. I come from family who are members who did not recover. Some of my family died. So for people like me who are in need of people to just talk about my journey with my family who have died from overdose, my family who are active users, my family who live in poverty, I salute those that work in this journey. That's why I have a passion for people in recovery work. That's why I have a passion for people like my fellow peers, particularly Phil Simmons, who lead people through this discovery of affirmation. And so I just support and partner with people. We here have a program, Breaking the Cycle, that talks about the substance abuse of tobacco, a legal substance that someone can go 2 blocks that way and get, and we know that it causes harm. Just an FYI, tobacco use kills more people than HIV.
I think there needs to be a distinct message, not so much, in my opinion, to the outside, but to the person that is actively using, the person that's actively doing whatever they're doing. I think the myth and the stereotype for us has been we are not enough, that we just don't fit in. that we'll never be able to do it, that it won't work for us because of the fact that we're LGBTQ. I think we need to dispel that myth within one another. And if you know somebody within your group, within your circle that's actively using, it's okay to say something to them about it. A lot of times we will just shun them off and let them do what they do. But if we're friends, if we love that person, we really need to step in and say, hey, listen, do you need some help? Is there something that I can do for you? In order for them to let go of the stereotype and the myth that they have between these two things right here, that's where the help has to start. It has to start from within. And as those people begin to get the confidence of being clean and being sober, they can start going around in their circles. They can start sharing who they are in their meetings. Because, you know, even for me, after I started going to the LGBTQ meeting, later on, I was able to go to a regular meeting and share who I was without any problem.
This recovery process probably needs a lot more love and support. I think that we struggle so much to be who we are, or are afraid of being who we are, that we use the substances to hide or shield ourselves. I think that people really need to be able to be who they are, know that they are loved, and get support wherever you can get that support from. It's very important that, because the individuals, my sponsors, my supporters, they can't get me clean. Only I can get me clean, but I need to feel like I'm worth something. I have some kind of self-worth to get me from point A to point B.
Cornelius, Phil, Mr. Lipscomb, Mr. Bradford, Mr. Doe, the Ask the Messengers TV show, myself, and everyone on this panel, and every household and each person that we represent. And here we are, proud of who we are, grateful for what we've done, grateful for where we've been. But guess what? That never should define who we will be and what we strive to be. But we got to do it together, like you said. Hey, virtual love, virtual hugs, we are hugging.
Won't you help us to do exactly what our motto is, and that is to help save lives? Won't you send a generous donation to the information there on the screen? We would love to have you as part of our partnership to help save lives. You may not be able to go out in the street, you may not be able to come here to the show, but you can send your donation that helps us save lives.